What's up everyone, my name's Jay and welcome to the first ever episode of Daebakery, my new show on Aewen radio where I'll be playing some of the hottest K-pop songs while also hitting you with some of that juicy, some of that shady K-pop gossip. Today we'll be talking about a bunch of stuff including whether iKON's debut was a flop or not, what's the real reason behind this new Sejigi witch hunt, and whether Sohyun actually could be the next Suzy. Now, since this is my first episode, you guys are probably wondering, who is this girl? What does she do? Why is she here? So throughout the episode, I'll be talking about myself a bit so you guys can get to know me. But before that, let's get into some music, starting with one of my favorite girl groups, Wonder Girls, their debut song, Irony. And that was Like a Fire by SHINee. Gosh, I freaking love that song. It gives you some like real earth, wind, and fire tease. SHINee, while they're not my favorite male group, they're definitely up there. And Taemin is my husband. We've been married for a while now. Y'all didn't give me a wedding gift, but that's fine. So let's just get into the first topic of the day. AOA's Sohyun has been really rising and gaining popularity lately, but a lot of people have been concerned by the way it's going about, how she's getting this popularity in their opinion. So if you guys have been paying attention to the media, you probably know that for a while now, Sohyun has been compared to Suzy. Suzy is kind of like the it girl at the moment. She has so many CF commercial deals and things like that. She's super popular. So there was a point in time where Sohyun was rising. I mean, Sohyun's still rising, but when Sohyun was just starting out getting popularity, she'd get compared to Suzy a lot. Now, a lot of people, assume, and I kind of have to agree, that was probably her company that was fueling these comparisons via articles, like paying for articles and things like that. But, it was kind of innocent because, you have to start somewhere, and if that's what they're going to do to try to get her famous, I guess, you can go about it that way. There's not really anything wrong with that. I just always felt bad for Sohyun because it was kind of obvious what whoever was putting out these articles about her versus Suzy, or her, she's like Suzy, were trying to do. So it's kind of like, as much as Sohyun works hard, you kind of are like, oh, well, the only reason we know who she is because she was compared to Suzy, and people are saying she's the second Suzy and things like that. So that had been going on for like a while, but lately things have even like stepped up even more, because now people aren't just comparing Sohyun to Suzy, but they're saying she's the new Suzy, as in she's replacing Suzy as a trend. Like, Suzy is old news, even though Suzy's only 1 year older than Sohyun. Suzy's a hag now somehow, and Sohyun is like the new queen. And now at this point, I definitely think it's not only her company doing it with the articles. I feel like people have seen the Suzy versus Sohyun, articles like that get a lot of buzz, whether it's people being mad because they're like, oh, how dare you compare her to Suzy, or, Sohyun fans being mad saying, oh, Sohyun is her own person, why are you comparing her to Suzy? But it's getting really, really messy because I really hate the idea that to rise someone up, you have to bring somebody down. Like I said earlier, I was totally okay and fine with the idea of saying, oh, Sohyun, like, she's like Suzy, look at her, like, she's getting popular like Suzy. Because like I said, it's really hard, especially when you're from a small group or just starting out, to find a way to gain buzz. So you can kind of, if you find something that works, I can see sticking with it. But I feel like this whole she's replacing Suzy's old news, that kind of mindset is getting out of control, and it's kind of creeping into disrespectful territory, because as much as Sohyun works hard, there's a lot of girls like Sohyun who are like on the verge of being that it trend. But I definitely think that the comparisons between Sohyun and Suzy is what took her over the top and is the reason why she's the standout of all the potential it girls. So to then just turn around, whoever's doing this, to turn around and be like, you know what, not only is she like Suzy, but she's replacing Suzy, I feel like that's rude, because Suzy has been at this since 2010. She debuted with Miss A since 2010, and she's been hard working for her position. So to say that somebody can replace her with only like I would say like AOA debuted in 2012, but I would say like Sohyun only has been recently getting popular since like 2013ish. So like somebody with 2 years of work can totally decimate your whole career. Like that's so terrible, and that's such a terrible way to think about it. And so I don't know, like I think the people who are taking this out directly on Sohyun and saying that she doesn't deserve this and she's getting too cocky, you know, you need to calm down, because it's clearly not Sohyun doing this. Yes, Sohyun is benefiting from this, but I don't think she's out here being like, okay, so make sure you put that I'm better looking than Suzy up in this article. Like I don't think she's doing that herself. And like I said before, I don't even think that it's only FNC fueling the idea, like just that correlation, Suzy, Sohyun anymore, because I feel like a lot of media outlets just took that and ran with it just because, you know, people were already talking about it and it's a hot topic, so why not? But I just think it's funny because every time you see an article about Sohyun, Suzy is somewhere mentioned. So it's becoming too much. And I definitely think while it's helping Sohyun career at like right now, like who wants to look back after all their hard work and have people be like, yeah, you're famous, but you owe all your thanks and your fame to this person that you couldn't keep, you know, her name out of the articles that you were in. Like that's the only reason you're popular. So I definitely think they should really dial back on all these all these Suzy and Sohyun comparisons, because it's getting too much. And although I'm not really for, oh, this person's above everyone or this person's above another person, I definitely can see why Suzy fans are getting really, really annoyed with the whole comparisons, because nobody wants I don't know, it's just kind of weird to ride somebody's coattails that much. Like, I can see it to a point, but it's getting ridiculous. Like, ride those coattails, and then when you're done riding them, snatch them and put on the coat yourself. Like, it's just too much. And I definitely think the people doing these articles need to be way more respectful towards Suzy, and insinuating that Suzy's like a washed up is really ridiculous, because Suzy is, you know, she's on top of the world right now. She's in her freaking prime. She's only like 21 years old. So how would she already be like a hag? And the thing is, this is actually an overlying problem. I hate the whole idea that like two girls can't be famous at once. Like, why does it have to be like because Sohyun's now trendy, Suzy's not trendy, or because Suzy's now trendy, Yuna's not trendy? Like, they can all be trendy at the same time. Like, it's not, why does it always have to be like we're looking for somebody's younger replacement? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. So I just thought that was a really, really weird situation, and it's turning out worse for Sohyun, because a lot of people are, you know, taking hate out on her and saying that the whole Suzy and Sohyun comparisons are making her really unlikable. And not that I dislike her, but I can see why people feel that way. So, I don't know. FNC, just cool it with the comparisons. All those new media outlets, cool with the comparisons, because you're actually hurting Sohyun more than you're helping her. So let's get right back into the music with Good Boy by GDYB. I am a good boy. And we are back. For those of you just tuning in, before the break, I played Ordinary Couple by Park Kyung and Park Boram, I Like It by BTS, and Like You by Rain featuring Bada. So let's talk Sejigi. So I got into K-pop around 2007-ish, and during that time, I never heard of Sejigi, never knew what it was. It was only till around 2009-ish that, in my opinion, Sejigi really became a big issue. So before I get into the next story, for those of you who don't know what Sejigi is, I'm just gonna, give a little definition. So a lot of the time, the way that you can noise market or media play about a new album coming out or a new song coming out is through the charts. If it ranks well, if it's an album that's sold well, you can make articles about how it's breaking records and things like that. Or if it's a song that's number one, you can make articles about that. So of course, with all the music that's coming out, it's actually super hard to get number one unless you already have like an established fan base or you're already known by the public. So that's where Sejigi comes in. So Sejigi is basically the act of companies buying their own artist products in order to make them chart higher. So for example, for physical albums, a company can buy back an artist's physical albums, and that will count as more units sold, and therefore they'll chart higher, and then people will be like, oh, what's this album? You know, it's charting so high, people must like it, and you know, it was spread via that. You can also do it digital based, charts like Melon and things like that. If you get people to stream, or if you somehow get mass streaming, you can chart higher. But the streaming wouldn't be from actual people. It'd be like, you know, robots or whatever, and you kind of manipulating the system. Or you can even, you know, buy back your own singles, and therefore they chart higher, and then it repeats the process of people finding out about it because it's charting high. So it's technically not illegal, but you can see why it is looked down upon. So like I said, it was a big thing back in 2009-ish, because I remember there was a rumor that there was a girl group doing Sejigi, and through that, you know, it kind of spun this whole investigation. But recently, because there was a report about Sejigi, it kind of became a hot topic again. So basically, there was a news outlet that did a report on Sejigi and the way it works, and that there's companies out here doing Sejigi. And during the report, they used a blurred picture of Icon's album cover. So at the time, Icon had released My Type, their debut warm-up single. The response from My Type was mixed. However, people were kind of shocked the fact that this song was able to shoot up to #1 and stay there for a while before eventually being dethroned. So because of that, and because people saw this picture of Icon, this blurred picture, but it was clearly Icon's album cover during the report, they were like, oh snap, YG is clearly doing Sejigi. Now, fans actually went and questioned the original news outlet that did the story, and it ended up that the news outlet just picked like the random picture at random. They weren't really implying that Icon did Sejigi, which is the most shady type of journalism ever. Let's just use this album cover. It's fine. No, like what? Why would you use a cover on such a serious story that you knew had nothing to do? Clearly, see, people be out here for them clicks, and that's it. But anyway, so it kind of quote unquote cleared their name, although people are still kind of suspicious. But that report kind of set off a chain reaction of like Sejigi related events. You had Taecyeon from JYP. He made a statement claiming that even though he had asked JYP in the past to do Sejigi for like 2 p.m., JYP said no, so just confirming that JYP does not allow Sejigi. Now, everyone was praising JYP for that statement, but I was like, can we just take a look about like the fact that Taecyeon asked for Sejigi? That is shady. That's so shady. Like, what the heck? Like, as y'all know, 2PM has been low-key struggling when it comes to charting well, but the fact that he's literally like, please JYP, give us some Sejigi, is just like, I'm like, okay, Taecyeon, you do you, I guess. But that also led to Starship Entertainment, home of singers like Boyfriend, Monster X, and Sistar, releasing a statement saying that they were going to take legal action against Sejigi rumors. So now, if you have been into K-pop for a while, you probably know Sistar as Sejigi queens. Some people, they tend to do really well digitally when it comes to, you know, like having popular songs and stuff like that, but their physical sales don't really match up with how popular songs are. So they have like a lot of downloads when it comes to their singles, but they tend to not sell that many when it comes to actual physical albums because their fan base is not that big. So there's always been like a disconnect there, which made people kind of suspicious, and they've kind of had this tag of, oh, Sistar, they clearly do Sejigi, because who really likes their music? Who's out here for their music? Now, I'm not that big of a Sistar fan. I really like Bora, I really like Hyorin, I really like Soyu, Dasum, she's so adorable. But I wouldn't say a Sistar diehard. However, when people assume that Sistar does Sejigi, it always boils my blood, because I know exactly where that rumor came from, and the fact that it's not confirmed at all, and there's actually no basis behind it, but because it was never properly cleared, now every new person who comes into K-pop, you just automatically hear, oh, Sistar does Sejigi, and it's just been, ran with for so long, it's just like a common fact. However, I'm here to kind of clear that rumor. Basically, the reason why Sistar was accused of Sejigi is, like I said, a while back there was a rumor that a girl group that debuted during 2009ish, 2010 was doing Sejigi. Now, no one ever specifically said it was Sistar, but they do fall in that range. They debuted in 2010. However, there's other 2009 girl groups and 2010 girl groups such as Girls' Day, FX, who else? 4 Minute, who technically could fall under that umbrella. However, the reason why I was pinned on Sistar is because in 2012, when they were promoting their song Loving You, they were pit up against Super Junior. I forget exactly what song Super Junior was promoting at that time. But as you guys know, Super Junior are huge, they're huge, and especially back in 2012 because it was just 3 years after Sorry Sorry, so they were living large. But Sistar with Loving You were able to beat Super Junior. So a lot of you probably know that music shows, while they're based off how popular a song is, it also has a lot to do with fandom. So if you have fans that will buy your physical albums and vote for you, you can win even if your song's 72 on the charts. CM Blue. Sorry, that was in my throat. But yeah, so it was really surprising that this girl group that, while, Sistar had some hits and, people knew who they were, and Aewen was really big at the time because her voice, she was gaining popularity for her voice, people couldn't really fathom the fact that this girl group was beating this mega, super, SM, big company, big group, boy group. And then from there, people just tacked the Sejigi name onto Sistar because that's the only way they would be able to beat, in people's opinion, that's the only way they would be able to beat Super Junior. But honestly, the whole idea that they do Sejigi is actually an unfound rumor. It's literally just a rumor that ran its course for so long, people treat it as fact. Now, that's not the point of me bringing up Sejigi, but I just thought I should clear that. I'm out here for you, Sistar, so you... Yeah, that's what's up. So there's that, and then during an interview with the newsroom, JYP basically said that he does believe that there's digital Sejigi going on, but as far as he knows, he knows clearly that JYP is not doing, that company's not doing Sejigi, but he also doesn't think the other two companies under their big three, YG and SM, do Sejigi either. So basically, he feels like the Sejigi is coming from, lesser companies, but the big three, they don't do it. So the final event kind of capping off this whole Sejigi mania is the fact that YG made a statement saying that he feels that the Sejigi investigation needs to be, thorough, and those who are caught doing Sejigi should have their name released to the public. So I thought it was really interesting that he's making a big deal out of this, and he thinks really these people who are doing Sejigi should be caught and should be punished. Now at first I was like, oh my gosh, these big three are so righteous, they're just trying to get these Sejigi people trying to get them caught, and that's so great. However, I started thinking about it, I started kind of reading around, and I realized, similar to media play, Sejigi is kind of it's a type of promotion. Now, it's lying, it is cheating. I'm not saying, I'm not condoning that, but the way I see it, it's a promotion because the thing is, if you're in the big three, you're basically set for life. And I know there's the whole, people who are in the big three, they worked hard to get in those big companies, so everything they get, all the perks they get are well deserved. Okay, yes, I get that. However, that's kind of low-key saying that the fact that you lack a lot of opportunities and you're out here struggling when you're not in the big three is also, that's something that should be condoned, and that's just something that, that's the way it is. And I feel like that's really annoying. The thing is, iKON, I'm going to bring this back to iKON. iKON, while their songs weren't terrible, their songs that they released as debut songs weren't at all groundbreaking and really weren't basically what I'm saying is if like a group that wasn't Icon released those same songs, they wouldn't be charting as well. And as much as Icon has talented people like Bobby and B.I. and things like that, part of the reason why they get, and anyone debuting under the big three, why you get a chance at popularity and stardom is because you have this company that everyone's looking towards. And you know, if you like Red Velvet, for example, they just debuted, and like there's a bunch of rookies who debuted the same year they debuted. However, everyone's focus was on Red Velvet because it was the new SM girl group. So you get a lot of perks in terms of like promotion when you're under these big three companies that, of course, if you're not under these big three companies, you don't get. So the thing is, it's kind of hard and almost dang near impossible for groups not coming out of the big three or not coming out of bigger companies like Starship and Cube to get people to even listen to their music. Like, it's not even like saying, oh, you have to like us, or no, just please give us a chance. But they don't get that chance because these big three companies and these bigger companies have monopoly over everything. Like, whether it is opportunities to be on variety shows to get your name out there, opportunities to have your songs showcased on whatever, they never get these opportunities. So Sejigi, though you have to shell out some money, which might be a bit hard for these smaller companies, it's literally like one of the only ways they can get people to listen to their music. So while it's cheating and while it's bad, I can kind of understand it, because it's like, how else are we gonna, you know, show people that they should be listening to this song, or at least give this song a chance? It's a textbook definition bad, but when you really look into it, it's almost sad, because it's just a desperate attempt to stay relevant. But yeah, that's enough for now. Let's get into the next song, Campfire by Red Velvet. That was Zero Gravity by one of my favorite artists, Zion T. And we are back. So some of you may not know, but iKON is the newest rookie group to debut out of YG Entertainment. And even though they already have a really big fan base, they've already won number one on music shows, they've already had a number one song, I would have to say they've probably had one of the most messiest debuts to date. Like, it's just been back and forth with scandals and articles for them. And while it's not their fault at all, I feel like it's having a negative effect on how people perceive and feel about iKON. So I just thought it would be fun to kind of do a bit of a timeline of everything involved in iKON's debut and every single scandal and situation they've gotten into thus far. So let's start off with the announcement of their debut. A while back, it was announced that iKON was set to debut with a warm-up single in September, and then they'd debut more singles later on. So off that bat, this kind of ticked off a lot of rookie stands, just because iKON, by debuting in September, they kind of just made the deadline to be considered for rookie awards at the end of the year. And the thing is, iKON, like I said, they already kind of have a big fan base, so it's no surprise that whatever they were going to release was going to do well. So they basically, just by debuting, secured the fact that they're probably going to get quite a few rookie awards, which, you know, some 17 fans and Monster X fans were mad about this, because those groups have kind of been promoting year-round, slowly, steadily building this fan base, and that was all kind of snatched for them with the, you know, announcement that iKON was going to debut. So that kind of peeved a lot of rookie stands off, but you know, you can't really blame iKON for that because they have to debut sometime. So with the announcement of their debut, it was announced that they would be having 5 MVs and 5 singles to match. So this then kind of ticked off Winner stands, because Winner, as most of you know, debuted last year, but since their debut last year, they kind of been dormant musically. They haven't released any new singles in Korea or promotionally together. They haven't done anything as Winner for a while, and a lot of people have been angry with YG about that. So the fact that after Winner not having anything for a year, you know, you're hearing that another label mate is getting 5 MVs and 5 singles, of course you're gonna be, you know, feel a little bit jaded, because it's like, okay, but what about Winner? So finally they debut with My Type, and I don't know, when My Type came out, I was just on my Twitter, like, and kind of seeing what people were saying on Twitter, and a lot of people were underwhelmed. They expected like a big explosive hip hop, you know, slaying your faves, crazy single that was just gonna like blow you away, but it was more like it was a really chill song. It wasn't bad, but it was kind of forgettable. I personally actually liked it. I listened to it every now and again, but I kind of get the sentiment that it wasn't like in your face as we expected this group that, you know, we've been waiting for people who have been waiting for like 2 years to come out with. But then again, it was just a warm-up single, so that was like the excuses that I heard. Well, it's just a warm-up single, so, you know, it's not going to be all crazy. They're kind of changing the game. Now, the big thing that got me, because like I said, I liked the song wasn't the problem for me, was the fact that the line distribution was atrocious. Like, completely atrocious. Now, I didn't really watch Mix and Match. I'm not that big of an Icon fan, and I don't know much about their pre-history. I'm only getting into them now that they've debuted, but I know Bobby and B.I. are kind of like the center of those groups. They are the most known to people who aren't Icon fans. Those are the only ones I knew when I started like looking at Icon and really, you know, acknowledging them. So the fact that literally in My Type, Bobby and B.I., it was like Bobby and B.I. featuring the others. Like, the line distribution was so bad. Like, I get that as a rapper, Bobby gets one verse, B.I. gets another verse, because that's similar to how they do it in Big Bang. But the thing is, Big Bang has 5 members, so splitting everything else amongst Taeyong, Daesung, and Seungri makes sense. But trying to split the rest of that song after giving B.I. and Bobby the chorus as well amongst 5 people, that's just the most atrocious thing. So I just felt really bad for Icon, because that was, well, I clearly not B.I. and Bobby, but the rest of them, because that was the worst line distribution ever. So like I said, My Type at this point was doing really, really well on the charts. So much so that when they were eligible for music shows, they actually were winning #1. But when it came to Mnet Countdown, Mnet decided to exclude Icon from the ranking, and that day, Red Velvet actually won. Now, this got YG pretty peeved, because in his opinion, there was no good reason to exclude Icon from the ranking. So that just I'm sorry, but YG is so shady when it comes to his statements. But that just started him on like a series of rants when he was talking about how, you know, this wasn't fair, this wasn't right. And he specifically stated, this was the #1 thing that stuck with me, he stated that one of the reasons why he believes that they were excluded from the ranking was specifically so a certain group could win #1. Now, at the time, like I said, Red Velvet won. So now this got Red Velvet stans peeved, because he was basically coming for their win. He is just burning bridges at this point, and a lot of people are taking it out on Icon, and it's just terrible. Meanwhile, YG Entertainment was under fire themselves for releasing a statement saying that tickets to Icon Showcase were sold out, only then to open a second round of ticketing where there were clearly tickets being sold there. So I actually did some reading into this issue, and it actually isn't as bad as it came off, but it is very shady. Basically, a lot of the times when it comes to selling tickets for a concert or an event, you do 2 rounds of tickets. So you open a certain section and you sell tickets for that section, and then later on you do what's called a second round where you open up more seats and you sell tickets for those seats. So that's actually very common. The thing is though, when YG only opened the first round of ticketing for Icon Showcase, when that got sold out, there was a statement released that, oh my gosh, you know, Icon's so popular, their concerts got sold out. When in actuality, it was only it wasn't like the full arena, it was only a certain section. That, like I said, that was kind of an iffy situation, because technically they did sell out that round of ticketing, but the way that the words were twisted, it was clearly they were trying to media play. Finally, Icon debuts, releases their 2 new singles, Rhythm Ta and Airplane, and 2 new songs. Now, Rhythm Ta really sounds like a watered down version of like Good Boy or some Big Bang song. It's weird because it's catchy, but it didn't really move me at all. I definitely like Airplane a lot more, but listening to those 2 songs and listening to this album, once again, like, the line distribution is so atrocious, and literally I'm still in the stage of trying to learn each member and who like iKON is, and Chanwoo was one of the first people I learned, just because his parts are just so non-existent, and I feel so bad for him, because it's like, why is he even in this group? Because they give him nothing. Like, it's so sad. So next up, YG does some backtracking. So originally, when iKON was about to debut, one of the other things that kind of fueled some like negative attention towards them was because he called them the second Big Bang and compared them to Big Bang, and just insinuated that this is like the new Big Bang. But now, a couple weeks later, he's backtracking and releases a statement saying that he's uncomfortable comparing iKON to Big Bang. So I personally think that these comparisons are so annoying. I get what they're trying to do, but like, just let everyone be their own self. And I remember when they first compared iKON to Big Bang, even though that was kind of like a spit in the face towards Winner, I honestly would rather be in Winner's situation, because it's a burden being compared to somebody who's so big, because now if you slip at all, people are gonna come for you. Then it was revealed that iKON's supposed sold out showcase had given away for free more than 2,000 tickets. So when somebody has a concert, they do give out tickets to different like media outlets, so they can have raffles and things like that and get people excited for the event. And then you have the artist gets invitation tickets where they can invite their friends and family to get in for free. But 2,000 plus seems a bit excessive, especially for something that you were media playing about being sold out. So that kind of, once again, made people look at YG funny. Finally, capping everything off, YG released that iKON's official color is going to be red, which got Cassiopeia's mad, DBSK's fan base, because as many of you know, DBSK's fan color is red. So with that issues with fan colors, I never really get big into them, because for me it doesn't really matter and I don't get the significance of them, so those are never really a big deal. But I thought it should be mentioned because Cassiopeia's really don't have anything to do lately, so the fact that they came out the water to be angry about this, I thought was funny. iKON, I feel so bad for them, because this thus far has been such a mess. Like, yes, they're still like very much thriving, but like they've kind of come out of this being like the most hated group and most hated fandom ever. And YG even himself, I feel like he kind of tainted people's opinion about him because all the backtracking and over excessive media playing. And I feel like at the end of the day, this was just a result of them trying too hard to make sure that iKON was successful. I feel like if they would have dialed back on like the comparisons, on like the statements about them, it would have went more smoothly, and people wouldn't, not that they shouldn't have high expectations for iKON, but the expectations were set way too high by doing stuff like comparing them to Big Bang. I just really hope that next time around, they just let them be great. Let their music speak for itself. Let their personalities speak for themselves. We don't need this they are cool, they are Big Bang, they are this. Look at them winning with a warm-up debut single. Like that kind of stuff. Just let people decide whether they like iKON or not. So that's enough of that. Let's move on to the next song, FX's Red Light. And we were back. Those two last songs were just I Shouldn't Have by Baekhyun and Solo by my baby Jay Park. Love you, boo. Love you, boo. So in a recent interview, girl group EXID revealed that they feel really apologetic because currently, as of now, they still split their income equally. So in theory, there's nothing wrong with a group splitting their income equally. I mean, they're a group, they all do work. However, as many of you know, Hani is kind of like a trend right now, and she's really, really big, and has a lot of CFs, a lot of variety show deals. So it's pretty clear that she's bringing in the most money. However, they all split the income that she makes equally. Now, this has been like a thing for a long while when it comes to there being a popular member, but then a group splitting it equally. The biggest one I can probably think of is, of course, the example with Suzy and Miss A. They currently don't split their income equally, but at the peak, at the beginning of, the Suzy boom, when Suzy started getting really, really popular, it was quite a controversy because it was revealed that they do split the income equally. Now, not to say that the other members of Miss A were just not doing anything at the time, but compared to the type of schedules and activities and advertisements and deal that Susie's was bringing in, it was like a big gap. So it was like they were like taking her money. Now, like I said, Susie doesn't split the money like that in the same way anymore, but it just made me think, how fair is it when a member gets big and they still split the money equally? Now, here's the thing. You never know when somebody's gonna just like make it big. And clearly already in these contracts before these groups debut, it probably has a clause saying that they're gonna split their income equally. I don't think it's a bad thing that even when there's a popular member, the other groups split the income equally. Because here's the thing, when there's a situation when one member gets really, really big, unless, these members were just best of friends, there's always going to be some jealousy. There's always going to be some, people feeling jaded because they're not the popular ones. And I feel like one of the ways you can quell that kind of, internal conflict is if these members are receiving something like money and they're benefiting from one person being famous. Because often when somebody, gets that big break and they start expanding and growing and being more in the public eye, it just is like a positive feedback type situation. When you get, your foot in the door, you're welcomed inside. And then it becomes this situation where the gap between the popular member and the least popular members grows wider and wider because it's only the popular member that's getting invited to these shows, that's getting deals and things like that. And I think a lot of the time people assume that the members that aren't working and aren't getting the opportunities that the popular member are getting, it's because they're just like not trying. No, to go on a variety show, you have to get invited to a variety show. To get a CF deal, you have to, be contacted by a company. So it's not like they don't want to work. But I feel like if there was a situation where not only was this member getting all the opportunities and getting, all this shine and everything, but while the popular member is making all this money, the other ones are just getting broker and more broke and more broke and more broke. I think by at least letting them kind of benefit from the popular members' activities, it stops them from just totally hating that popular member. And kind of like how EXID said, you feel kind of apologetic. And I'm not saying that it should be like, oh, you should feel bad, you should guilt trip these members. No, because I think ultimately that makes you want to work harder, so you kind of don't have to leave the burden of making money for everyone on one member. I feel like it's almost like a motivation kind of thing. It's like, okay, I'm getting money, but the only reason I'm getting money is because this member is working so hard. So let me really try really, really hard to make sure that I can also be in a situation when I'm making money for my group, because like EXID said, they feel apologetic. Now, I do think that rather than it being a situation where the popular member is making all the money and that's a bad situation, I feel like it should be really up to the companies that when they get a situation, when they strike gold with a member who just randomly gets popular, they should start being tactful when it comes to it. If this person invites, let's just use EXID for the case. If, Hello Counselor invites EXID, if Hello Counselor invites Hani to be on Hello Counselor, instead of just being like, okay, there's Hani, you can have her, these companies should be like, okay, she can come, but then also makes her Solji goes or makes her Ellie goes. And I actually feel like at first I was a bit skeptical with how EXID's company was handling Hani's newfound popularity, but I feel like out of some of the girls and people just in general that got explosive popularity out of nowhere, I feel like they're actually handling it a bit better than others. Now, I do think they really overwork her. I was looking at the list of schedules and different variety appearances she's been doing throughout the year, and it's so huge. Like, she has Style for You, Crime Scene, She's just done a lot of stuff, and I definitely think, they're definitely trying to milk her, but I feel like they choose things where she would shine, and they choose things where other members can get shine too. But then there's other situations like Gangnam from MIB, where like I feel like his company's literally just made him do everything and just put him on anything that would take him, and you can see it's affecting him now, because like now his popularity is really dying out and quickly, because I remember he used to be everywhere, but now I only hear about him a couple times. And so I feel like it's really up to the companies when it comes to having a popular member to just be tactful with the power that the popular member wields. So following up on that, Hani actually commented about this, and she actually said that she actually feels apologetic because she understands that she just got a lucky break and it really could have been anyone. And she actually feels apologetic towards the members that even though they're talented, they're beautiful and such, she's the only one that gets opportunities at this point. And I don't know, EXID, they're just a really cool group because it just seems like they're really just like a group of friends. I know a lot of the times people say, oh, idols aren't actually friends, it's just the front they put on. And while I do think that's true most of the time, I definitely think EXID is a case where they're actually all friends and they're actually out here for each other. Just like a year ago, they were in Nugudum. So I feel like that struggle brings people closer together. But yeah, that's my opinion. But what do you guys think? Do you think that even when there's like an overtly popular member, do you think groups should still split equally? Or do you think when one group or one person in a group makes more money, obviously, and gets more promotion, that person should be able to keep all the money for themselves? I'll let you guys think about that while we get into the next song, Monse by 17. That is a sweet jam. I just played B1A4 Sweet Girl, and before that, I hit you with some Chocolate Chip Cookie by Hara. So unfortunately, we're at that point in time. We've reached the end of the show, which is actually kind of exciting because that means I completed my first episode of Daebakery. Yay me. But before we wrap things up, it's time for this week's Listener Corner. So all episode, you guys have been hearing me talk, give my opinion, but this is a chance for you guys to voice yours. Listener Corner is a segment where I'll be asking you guys about your opinions on certain fandom related topics, and then I'll let you guys' voices be heard. Like I'll let you say a little something next episode. So today's topic is talent versus visuals. So this is basically like an age-old K-pop question. When it comes to being an idol, what is the most important, having talents or looking good? Because you have your Yunas and your Suzis who made like just built empires for themselves based off their good looks. But then you have the Hyorins and the Ailies where they've been able to really make a name for themselves via their voices and their talent. Now I guess I'm gonna play a bit of devil's advocate here and say that honestly, the first thing you do when you see a group is just that. You see them, you look at them, and the easiest way to attract somebody is by being attractive. I know a lot of people, the first thing that they thought when they saw a group was that person is cute, and then they delved more into the group. And even if you don't end up standing that visual that drew you in to begin with, and you might just go for the dancer, whoever's a stand attractor, it's that initial good-looking person or attractive person that got you in the group. They're kind of like the gatekeeper or whatever, and they let you in, they usher you into the group. So I would have to say that visuals are really important. Visuals often tend to be the most publicly recognized member of a group, and it's really, what groups are known for a lot of the time. But of course, that's my opinion, and I'm here to learn you guys's. So if you have an opinion on whether you think the visual or whether you think having talents is more important in K-pop, you can tweet me at officialRCU. That's at OFFICIAL_RCU on Twitter. Give me your 140 characters on why you either think visuals or talent is more important than K-pop. Or you can send in a 30-second or less audio clip to my email, radiocrapup@gmail.com. That's radiocrap up? Don't ask. I don't know why it's that either. Send a clip explaining why you think either the visual or talent is more important. Now, since Daebakery is a bi-weekly show, that actually gives you 2 weeks to submit an answer. So that's some time to think about it, guys. I'm letting you think about it. So like I said, it is now the end of the show. I had a super blast doing this episode. Thank you to everyone who came out and listened. Like I said, my next show isn't for another 2 weeks, but in case you missed me, before that, I actually have like all the social media. You can hit me up on Instagram at RCUJ, that's RCUJAY on Instagram, or Twitter, like I mentioned before, at official RCU. I also have a YouTube channel where I talk about K-pop and do countdowns, and that's Daily Dose. My URL is kind of weird, so you probably are better off just typing in Daily Dose K-pop into the YouTube search engine. It will save you a lot of time. And of course, guys, I'll be up on the Tumblrs retweeting pictures of my biases, so you can follow me at radiocrapup@tumblr.com. Once again, don't ask. Don't ask, okay? So let's wrap things up with the last song of the day, Some by Soyu x Junggigo. See you next time. Bye-bye.